Hi guys, thanks so much for tuning in. I'm Corey and this is my channel, which is all about trying to figure out life when you're in your 20s. Today I'm doing another video for the Eat, Pray, Love series. This one is going to be part of the Pray part of the series. I'm not going to talk about praying or spirituality a whole lot, but I wanted to talk about like some moments of mindfulness that have come up in my life lately and just some awareness that my attention has been brought to because I don't know, it just was kind of cool the way that it came into my life and I wanted to share it with you guys. So you might be able to hear it on the audio right now, but it echoes in my apartment right now when you talk because there's like nothing in here. And I'll show you what I mean. So this is my desk. So normally that's where I'm sitting when I make videos, but I wanted to be mobile today so I could kind of give you guys a little apartment tour. And then basically the rest of my living room is just boxes because I'm in this. I've talked about this before, but to make a long story very short, I'm in this transition period where I am moving out of my apartment soon, and the person that I was living with has moved out of the apartment, and I didn't own like the majority of the stuff that was decorating the apartment, so now I'm just in this kind of like weird transition phase. So this is like, there's just like, that's all my running gear. For being honest, it's just easier to have it by the door because I literally come home from work and see my running gear sitting right there, and I'm like, okay, I have to run, and just like I'll just like change in the living room and like turn around and go again because it's starting to get dark in the evenings. So I have to go really fast when I get home from work, because otherwise it's dark and then I don't go. And then there's just like stacks of boxes over here, and that's pretty much like, aside from what is stored in my room right now, this is like the summation of everything that I own. And at first, that was pretty scary. I want to show you my room really quick too. So basically, everything is pretty typical in here, except for the fact that I don't have a bed. And I know you might say, like, Corey, that looks like a bed, but really what that is an air mattress that's covered in some old sheets that I owned and a sleeping bag. And then pillows, because for some reason I like never considered the fact that I should probably invest in a bed, but felt the need to buy a lot of throw pillows in my life. So there you go. There you have it. But I just wanted to take a second to, I'm going to sit down and talk to you guys. I wanted to kind of like tell this story about how at first when this transition started, it was really scary, especially because like it was almost embarrassing to tell people what was going on, because people would be like, oh, I want to come over, like let me come hang out, blah blah blah, and I didn't want to have people come into the apartment, and I also didn't want to leave my windows open because I live in a ground floor apartment in an apartment complex that's literally shaped like a U, and so it's like everyone has to walk past my apartment to be able to get through the complex and out into the parking lot. So there's not a lot of room for privacy here. And I just was like, I don't know, I just felt so much shame for not having furniture and not having like the typical comforts of what you should have in an apartment, that I wouldn't let, and I didn't want anybody to see it. And I felt like people would judge me if they were able to look in my windows and see that I just didn't have furniture. And to be honest, people probably do. People probably judge me for that. Or people are probably concerned and are like, why is this random girl just living in this apartment with no furniture? But having all those feelings of like panic and shame about the fact that I didn't have those things and that I was going to be living without those things for a while I'm going through this transition and figuring out what the next steps of my life are going to be, made me actually realize that I have a lot of privilege and a lot of things to be thankful for that I think easily get drowned out in that attitude of that kind of feeling like you have to have all of the right things. And that's really what it was. It was like I just had this moment of being like, oh my gosh, I don't have the right things. Like I'm not representing the fact, I don't have things that are representative of like having my life together and being an actual adult and like doing adulting correctly, whatever that means. I just felt like for some reason like not having a couch or a bed or a TV, like all of those things just made me feel like I was like I'm inadequate in some way. And the reality is that that isn't true, and no one else has judge me to be inadequate in any way, at least not anyone that I care about. And it's interesting to see because there have been people who made jokes about how I'm like basically homeless. And I understand that they're just trying to make light of a situation that could be maybe difficult for me, but I think that's so interesting because I wouldn't compare my situation to homelessness at all, because I do have a safe place to sleep and I have food every day. I have more than enough of all of the things that I need in my life. I'm never cold at night. I have plenty of blankets. Like, I don't have any of the typical fears and struggles that I'm sure a lot of people who are actually homeless have. And I'm not saying that to say, like, I think one of the difficult parts of becoming an adult is that you start to realize that you do have privilege in your life, and it's easy to start to feel guilty over the fact that you have more than other people, and to feel like, oh, like, I can afford my groceries every week, but like there are a lot of people who are starving in the world, and it's easy to start to feel really guilty and bad about those things. And that's not my point. I think that you can't live in that constant state of guilt because it will just like weigh so heavily on your heart. But I think that one thing that is important for us to do is to recognize the fact that we have those moments of privilege, whether it's being able to buy groceries, whether it's having a safe place to sleep, any of those things, and just being grateful for them. So I wasn't even really, I've been trying to meditate and trying to practice more spirituality in my life, but it's a new practice for me, so I'm still working on building a lot of the habits. I haven't done a lot of it to the full extent to which I would like to, and this kind of just happened in my life, and like the situation forced me to recognize the fact that there's a lot of gratitude and moments of just thankfulness in my day. There's a lot more of them now that I don't have certain things, and so the contrast of not having like typical stuff compared with the fact that I still have everything that I need in each and every day really made me realize that like most of the time when I'm living in a situation where I have all of the furniture that I would expect to have and that kind of stuff, that I don't really stop to think about the fact that I am really privileged and blessed to have those things. So that's kind of my little moment of bliss and zen that I wanted to share with all of you. And it's been kind of fun because it's made me be a little bit more creative about how I use things, like in terms of, like, I didn't have a comforter to use on the air mattress, so I used a sleeping bag. Or in terms of like, instead of sitting on a couch now, I like use the throw pillows, and I'll make like a little nest on my bed if I want to just like chill and watch Netflix or something like that. So I think it just has made me realize that like I don't need as much stuff as I have in my life, and if anything, it's kind of built a desire in me to get rid of a lot of stuff, even more so, just because I realize that like even though it looks kind of bare and sparse in here, there's a lot of things that I own that I don't need or I don't use, and a lot of things that I've kind of been thinking about, like almost like being angry about the fact that I can't afford certain things, and now thinking back to that, I just realized that like I don't need a lot of those things. And I think that our culture is so materialistic that that is a huge barrier to happiness, because we get caught up in that. I mean, it just happened to me. It was so caught up in the status of having furniture that I felt really concerned about letting people into my space or letting people see my space or anything like that, just because I didn't want to deal with their judgment, and I was placing that own judgment on myself and feeling like I was, like I said, inadequate because I didn't have the appropriate items to complete adulthood or whatever that means. So that's something that I kind of want to think more on in these coming weeks as I'm starting to build my meditation and mindfulness practice, or just like what are things that I can be grateful for every day. So to keep me kind of accountable for that practice, I'm going to just commit to writing down 3 things every morning that I'm grateful for, and I'm going to post them on Twitter. So I'll post my handle down below if you guys want to follow along with me. And as always, if you want to join in, I would love to have you. So if you have your own things that you want to write down that you're grateful for, or if you have stories of gratitude, definitely let me know. I always love when you guys share your stories back with me. So yeah, that's my mindfulness moment for the day, and Let me know also if you guys like these pray videos, or if you have any suggestions on things that you want to see or things that you want to talk about, maybe something that you're struggling with in your life, or maybe just something that you can offer tips on that we could talk about in upcoming videos. I would love to hear it. Thanks for watching.